We continue now at the top of Daf Ayin Gimel Amud Beis in Maseches Bava Basra. This is Bava Basra, Daf 73b. On the previous summon, Rabbi Bar Bar Chana said that he saw Horman, who was some kind of demon, running along the top of the wall of the city, and Horman was not able to keep up with the horsemen below. And the Rashbam explained that the idea is that HaKadosh Baruch Hu makes sure that these demons are not able to harm people. And the Gemara said there were two mules, and they were standing at Trei Gishrei de Rugnug. They were standing on the two bridges of this particular river, Rugnig, Vishavor Mehai Lahai Mehai Lahai. And this Horman, he was able to jump from one mule to the other and then back to the other mule. V'naket trei mizge dechamra biyade. He was holding in his hands two glasses of wine. Umorik mehai lahai mehai lahai. And he was pouring from one glass to the other and back to the other glass. V'lo notfa nitfusa liara. And there was not one drop. V'lo notfa nitofsa liara. There wasn't one drop that fell to the ground. He was able to balance it all. V'yoso hayom. And that day was very stormy, as the pasuk says in Tehillim. Yalu shamayim yerdu tohomos have. It was a day where the ships, they were going up to the heavens and then flung down to the seas. Adishmo be Malchus, until the king heard about what Horman was doing, v'katzlu, and they killed him. They killed this particular demon. And the Rashbam explains that Trei Gishrei de Rognug, the two mules were on the two bridges of Rognug. Shem Oso Hanar was the name of a particular river. Vayurechoken zemizeh, they were far away from one another, these two bridges. Vahayemedalig mi prei dazu leprei dazu, and Horman was jumping from one mule to the other. Tarti kasa dechamra shneim meleim yayin. The point here, there were two glasses filled with wine. Vahayemorik tarvayu biyachad zeh besoch zeh bahade to kamashver. While he was jumping from one to the other, he was pouring from one glass to the other. V'yeino nishbach afilu tibachas, not even one drop spilled out. V'yafal pisha haya oso yom ruach sa'or, even though that day it was a very stormy day. Shayuolin yordei hayom ba'anios ad l'shamayim, those who were at sea, they were going in the ships up to the heavens. V'yordin ad tahomos, and then they would be thrown down to the depths. Mikoach haruach, from all of the wind. V'yafal pichein, and nevertheless, lo nafla tipa la'aretz, not one drop of the wine fell to the ground. Yalu shamayim pasuk hu gabe yordei hayom b'sefer Tehillim. There's a pasuk by those who are at sea. It's in Sefer Tehillim. Shaman Bei Malka v'katzlu, and then the king heard about it and they killed this particular demon, this Horman. Bei Malka de Shedi. The first explanation that Rashbam gives is it's actually the king of the demons. She'ein darko shel shed laharos levnei adam. It's not proper for a demon to show himself to people. V'hargum emnei shaya megala sodom. So they killed him because he was revealing their secrets. V'yizdamar, and there are those that say Bei Malka Caesar, that we're not talking about the king of the demons here, but we're talking about the king, meaning the Caesar. Shaya yare shelo yitel hamal. The Caesar was afraid that this demon would take the kingdom from him. Shaya also shade me adam habal shade. According to this, the idea is that the shade, this particular shade, was actually born from a combination. It was from a person that had relations with a female demon. V'hayadar bein ha'anoshim, and he was living among the people. And the Gemara continues. Amar Rabba says, and some have the girsa again of Rabba Bar Bar Chana. L'didi chazili or zila bar yome, I saw an antelope that was 1 day old. The havik har tavor, it was as big as Har Tavor, Mount Tabor. The Har Tavor kama hava, how big is Har Tavor? Arba parsi, it's 4 parsa. Umeshacha de tzavor, it's lasa parsi, the length of its neck, it was 3 parsa. Ube marbata de reshe parso palga, and the area for its head was 1 parsa and a half. Rama kufsa v'sachar layardana, when it went to the bathroom, the feces were enough to dam up the Jordan River. And the Gemara continues, V'yamar Rabba Bar Bar Chana, and Rabba Bar Bar Chana said, L'didi chazil yahi akrukta, I saw a particular frog, Dehavaki akra de Hagrunya, was as big as the fort of Hagrunya. V'akra de Hagrunya kamahava, how big is the fort of Hagrunya? Shisin bate, it's 60 houses. Asa tanina bala, a snake came along and swallowed the frog. Asa pushkansa ubala, a raven came along and swallowed the snake. Ubala latanina, swallowed the snake. V'salik yasa bilana, and then this raven went and it sat in a tree. Ta chazi kamanafish chele dilana, come and see how strong the tree must have been to be able to hold such a large raven. Amar Rapapa Bar Shmuel said, Ilo havoy hasam, if I wasn't there, lo hemne, I wouldn't have believed this. And the Gemara continues, V'yamar Rabba Bar Bar Chana, and Rabba Bar Bar Chana said, Zimna chada hava kozlinan besfinta, one time we were going in a ship, v'chazinan ha'u kvar, and we saw this particular fish, the yasvele ach latina bu'usye, that an ach latina, which literally means a mud eater, it's a kind of insect, it sat bu'usye, it sat in its nostril, and it killed the fish. And when the fish was dead, v'yadchu maya v'shadyu laguda. So then the water spit out the fish and put it onto the shore. V'charuv minei shisin mechuzin. When the fish was thrown out onto the land, it destroyed 60 districts. That's how large it was. V'yachol minei shisin mechose. And 60 districts were able to eat from it. Umalchu minei shisin mechose. And it took 60 districts, salted it in order to preserve it. Umalu mechad galgala de'ein. And they were able to fill up from just one of its eyeballs, tlos meya garbi mishcha, 300 barrels of oil that came from its eye. V'chihadron lebasar treser yarcheshas. And when we returned after 12 months, after a year, chazinan dehavika minasri migarmi metalalosa, we saw that they were carving from its bones, and they were building from its bones, v'yasvi lemivninu hanach mechuzeh, and they were using the bones to rebuild those districts that were destroyed. And the Gemara continues, v'yamar Rabba bar bar Chana, and Rabba bar bar Chana said, Zim nechada have a kozlinan besfinta. One time we were going in a ship, v'chazinanu kavara deyasva lecholsa agabe, and we saw a particular fish that sand had settled on its back, v'kodach agmei lovin, grass was growing on it, savrinan yabeshti, so we thought this was dry land, v'salkinan v'yafinanu v'ashlinan agabe, and we went up onto this, what we thought was dry land, and we baked and we cooked on its back, v'karcham gabe es hapech, but when its back got hot, the fish turned over, v'ilav dehave mekarva svinta have tavinan, and if not for the fact that the ship was close by to us, we would have drowned. And the Gemara continues, V'yamar Rabba bar bar Chana, and Rabba bar bar Chana said, Zim nechada hava azlinan besfinta. One time we were going in a ship, V'sagoy sefinta bein shitza l'shitza dekvara, and the ship was going between one fin and the other fin of a particular fish. It was traveling between the two fins of the fish. The idea is going to be to demonstrate how large this fish was. Tlasa yume tlasa leilvasa. It took 3 days and 3 nights to travel between the fins. Iu b'zekifa v'anan b'shipula, and the fish was going against the wind, and we were going downward. We were going with the wind, and still it took that long. And the Gemara continues, V'chi teima, and if you will say, Lo miskia svinta tuva, that the ship was not going very fast, Ki yoser Rav Dimi Omar, when Rav Dimi came, he said, Kemecham kumkama demaya, in the short amount of time that it takes to heat up a kettle of water, miskia shisan parsi, this ship was able to travel 60 parsa, it was going fast. V'shadi parsha gira v'kid malay, when a horseman would fire an arrow, this ship would go faster, would outpace the arrow, so you see that it was going quickly. V'yamar Rav Ashi, and Rav Ashi said, Hahu gildana diyama havoy, this particular fish, it is the sea gildana, the isle trei shaitzi, which has 2 sets of fins. And the Gemara continues, V'yamar Rabba bar bar Chana, and Rabba bar bar Chana said, Zimna chada hava azlinan besfinta. One time we were going in a ship, V'chazinan ha'ut tzipora dekoim ar kartzule b'maya. We saw a particular bird which was standing in the water up to its ankles, V'reishe b'rakia, and its head was in the heavens. V'amrinan, we said to ourselves, Lekomaya, there's no water over here. U'ba'inan leichus le'kure nafshin, so we wanted to go into the water to cool ourselves off. V'nafak bas kol of yamarlan, but a baskol came out and said to us, Lo teichosu hachadon, don't go over here, the naflas lechatzitza levarnagra, because there was an axe of a carpenter that fell into this water. Hashev shni, it fell in 7 years ago. Velo kamatya ar, it still hasn't reached the earth, it still hasn't reached the bottom of the water, so you shouldn't go into this water. And the Gemara says, Velav mishum denafishi maya, the reason why it hadn't reached the bottom is not because there was so much water, ela mishum deradfe maya, but it's because the water was so turbulent. And Amar Rav Ashi said, Ahu ziz sadaihu, this particular bird is known as the ziz sadai, which is a kind of way of saying a wild beast. Techsiv, as it's written in the pasuk, V'ziz sadai imodi, the ziz sadai is with me. And the Gemara continues, V'yamar Rabba bar bar Chana, and Rabba bar bar Chana said, Zim nechada hava kozlinan b'madbara. One time we were going in the wilderness. V'chazinan hanu avzi, and we saw these particular geese. The shamti gadfayu mishamnayu, that their wings were sloped because they were so fat. V'konagdi nachle demishcha mitusayu, when there were rivers, streams of oil that were coming, that were dripping from beneath them. Amino lahu, so I said to them, I said to the geese, Islan begavaychu chelka liyom madasi, will we get a portion of you in the world to come? Chada dal Dali Gadfa, one of them lifted up its wings, its wing, V'chada Dali Atman, one of them lifted its leg, and the idea was, yes, you will get a portion of us in the world to come. Ki asoy l'kamid Rebbe Lazar, when I went in front of Rebbe Lazar and related this to him, Amar Li said to me, Asidin Yisrael, in the future, Klal Yisrael, Litein Alein Asadin, they're going to be judged about this because of the fact that they don't receive the reward of the world to come, because of the fact that that has been delayed due to our sins. Therefore, these birds are forced to continue to grow and be in pain, and that's why we will receive judgment about the fact that we were not deserving of this reward. And the Gemara continues, and in the parentheses we have a siman and a manik for the coming stories. Ka'afra de techelta, like the dust of the sky blue, terakte akraba lasalte, the akraba, which is the scorpion, it stung the basket. And the Gemara says, V'yamar Rava bar bar Chana, and Rava bar bar Chana said, Zimna chada have kazlina b'madbara. One time we were going in the wilderness. V'zlave b'hadana hutaya, and this particular Arab merchant, he was accompanying us, to have a shakal afra, he was able to take the earth, umorachle, and smell it. V'yamar, and he would say, ha'urcha leduchta plan, v'ha'urcha leduchta plan. Here is the way to this particular place, here is the way to this particular place. Amrinanle, so we said to him, Kama merachkinan mimaya, how far away are we from water? V'yamar he said to us, Havu li'afra, give me some of the earth. Yahavinanle, we gave him the earth. V'yamar and he said to us, Tamne parse, by smelling the earth, he was able to say to us that it was 8 parse away. And the Gemara continues, Taninon v'yavinanle, a second time we gave him from the earth. Amar he said to us, T'merachkinan tlasa parsi, now we're 3 parse away. Afchis le v'lo yachelis le, we would reverse it, we tried to trick him, and we were never able to trick him. He was always able to answer accurately. And the Gemara continues, Amar li, he said to me, meaning this Arab nomad said to Rava bar bar Chana, Ta'achvi loch meise midbar, come with me, and I'll show you those who died in the wilderness. This was those who died in the wilderness when they left Mitzrayim. Azli chazesinu, so I went and I saw them. V'damu command mivsami, it looked like on their faces, it looked like there were people who were intoxicated, and we will continue with this discussion in the next video on Daf Ayin Dalid Amud Aleph.